Hi there. So we're back here creating the character Invincible. As you can see, I'm got the bottom section done, and now we're gonna start working on the upper body. You can see we got some separation here at the middle. I forget exactly why, but maybe I did it smooth and it didn't with the option of clipping turned off. So that may have been the reason why, but it's nothing too bad, and you can see everything's pretty much lining up. So we're gonna start bringing the this body up, and you notice that I'm keeping both views in mind. I'm not just working the front and then going to the side. I'm kind of doing both kind of at the same time. I'm just not completely doing one and then going off to do the other. It's kind of you do one, you do a bit on one, and then you go and correct it in the other view. So it just saves you trouble in the long run, and also always making liberal use of the smoothing for the vertices. It just makes your quads more uniform in size. So if they're stretched, then it more evens them out, and it smooths things out. So I make use of it. I mean, there's some downfalls to because you always lose a little bit of the shape, but I've worked it into my overall workflow so that I have a system that works good for me most of the time. So you see me use it quite a bit, and you're going to continue to see me use the vertex smoothing option from the vertex menu. I think it used to be years ago. It used to be in the specials menu, but then at some point they put it in the I believe the specials menu went away, and they put it in the vertex, the smoothing option in the vertex menu. So, and I've been using that way ever since. So, the smoothing and getting the shape right in the front and the back, or front and the side, I should say, and just keeping in mind, because the reference has these nice poly groups all grouped out. And another thing you'll notice is kind of like the chest is kind of sticking out in the center, or it's not like more evenly. I guess it's kind of protruding out, and you kind of deal with that by using the smoothing for the vertex, and you can also use the grab brush to kind of go in the sculpting mode and kind of pull to the side and get it to not protrude out like that. Because I mean, the overall shape matches, as you can see, but you still have like those oddities like that. That's like making it not look as good as it could be. But I'm filling in the top. I'm using selecting the edge and using the F command. I think it's something you have to enable, and the add-ons you have to enable. One of the built-in add-ons you have to enable in the preferences. But I'm filling it in, and then and adding some more geometry, because kind of it needs it so I can get those quads. But also it's not doing me some favors in the instance. Is kind of, you can see when you put on those edge loops, it kind of makes it like an uneven size for the new quads it's creating. So therefore, I go back to the smoothing and use that to give me more uniform size. So smoothing always comes in handy. It's more than worth the drawbacks that come with it, because it helps you keep your mesh smooth and not have everything such different sizes. And now we're working on the neck. You saw what I did. I extruded and then scaled in and then extruded again. So now we have a loop in the shoulder area, an edge loop in the shoulder area, and it's just a nice little use of topology there that I don't know how big a difference it makes if you're animating for that, if they've made a huge difference, but I like to do it because it just looks more aesthetically pleasing, and you can see we're still not quite pulled out the shoulders to the length they should be, and you can also see that the reference has those sharp deltoids, so it's nice to have it something that kind of looks like that. So I'm gonna try to get it to look with those nice defined deltoids like the reference has. So but everything so far is looking pretty good. I mean, nothing's out of whack too much. My buttocks aren't that great, but I mean they match up with the reference, and they let's face it, how much attention are you gonna pay to that area anyway? So and still once again making use of the smoothing, the vertex smoothing, and now I'm kind of at the same time trying to gauge where his I guess his arm socket is. And I'm adding some geometry to go along with it, because I just like to get plenty of geometry in this area, so that when you extrude it out, you have more geometry to play with and to get things looking right, because the more geometry you have to play with, the more you can pull things into position and kind of tweak it and push and pull it until it looks like it should. So right now I'm kind of making the chest. I just selected basically what's covering the chest area, and then extruded it and scaled, and putting some edge loops on there to kind of sharpen it up, and it's not looking bad. Just a nice little way to give you a chest that's like, I guess you've seen those Disney Infinity figures. They always have like those sharp like chests like that, defined pectoral area. So it's just the easy way to get that kind of nice sharp look to it, and without putting in a lot of effort. And now I'm just trying to get the silhouette to match up closely as I can. It doesn't need to be perfect, but and then we're gonna seeing how we're going to build the arm socket, sometimes you got to select and then try to see if the area you selected matches up to where it's at in the reference, just to make things easier for yourself. So, I extrude it out, and then I'm gonna add some edge loops here, uh, with the arm socket, so I can get it, try to manipulate it, and get more geometry to make it look like more like the reference. And I'm also gonna be popping them, extruding those arms out of that area. Well, actually, I'm not. I'm going to be using a cylinder to connect to that arm socket area. So that used to be my old methodology. I used to just extrude it out from there, but like I said before, like if you use the cylinder, I mean, it's some reason like the aesthetic of it is much better looking than if you try to, select some faces and then use the circle or command and then extrude it out. It just doesn't look have the nice aesthetic as much as the just using the cylinder does. Because it's easy just to extrude that circular cross section and then match it up in the front and side views. So I'm going to delete that. So now that you see the area matches up, at least in the front it does, and then I'm going to manipulate it to make it more match up in the side view as well. Because this Invincible's more tall than this character, as you can notice, but that's the thing. As long as he winds up looking right, the one I'm building right now winds up looking right, I can just make him a little taller, maybe make his shoulders a little slightly more broad, and he'll look just fine body wise for a superhero that's built like Invincible, who's not really super muscular per se. His powers lies more in his physiology, his alien physiology. So, which is that's their take on it. Because obviously, Invincible's based on sort of a version of Superman. And if you've been a Superman fan, you know that over the years, he's had some pretty, especially in the Ed McGuinness era, he was pretty muscular, like super jacked. And then, but then the different artist interpretation, different writers, like, some say like his power doesn't come from the size of his muscles. It comes from however his physiology, his Kryptonian physiology interacts with the sun. So you had him built like super jack like Ed McGuinness, and then you've had him look more like human, more regular human size, but still with with the power to split a mountain in half. So just making the cylinder match up in the side view. And now I'm connecting the edge loops. And then whenever you do it like that, it doesn't look good. As you can see, it kind of does its own thing. So of course, I'm going to have to smooth that to make it look better. Smoothing sort of like a magical solution to everything, because it makes everything looks better when it's done right. There are times where it doesn't help, and like you lose the shape and the silhouette you want. But if you use it right, then smoothing is your best friend. So I'm adding some edge loops, some geometry for the arm, because it needs it basically. And when you start smoothing, you want to have some geometry so it doesn't distort your. You want to have more geometry so it doesn't distort your mesh too much. I mean, and it's not looking that great right now, but I mean, I'm still in the process of matching it up, and you get that organic curve to the arm, like all comic book superheroes have. And right now, smoothing the. I want to say this is the deltoid muscle, but it's the shoulder muscle. I'm smoothing that out, and so it's gonna have some of that sharper definition, but you don't want it pinched on itself. So that's always something that take into account. And once again, if you smooth the entire mesh and clipping's not turned on, because sometimes you need to turn off clipping in order to if it gets bunched up in the center and you want to separate the vertices from each other, you need to turn off clipping and then do a smooth on the affected area, or you could do the whole body and it will separate it. Or like what I'm doing here, if you create an object and you want to be able to take it to the other side with the mirror modifier and have it be symmetrical, then you have to have clipping on. Otherwise, if you try to separate the shape, it'll stick to the other side like it's one mesh. So I'm working on the hands here, and I used a cube. I started with a cube, and then I subdivided it, so it became a poly cube, and and I haven't mastered this method yet, so it doesn't look as good as I would like, but I feel it has a lot of potential due to the fact you keep your quad topology, you get something looking smooth, and you can get if you, depending on how you want the fingers to look, you can get a stylized look. If you like something like the Samurai Jack type of real blocky fingers that are bigger at the end than they are than coming out of the the joints, they're bigger on the ends than they are with the thick and then you want to put a thick outline on them that's the Samurai Jack style, then this seems like it will work pretty good for that. I'm not going to that length, but you could certainly do that with this using this polysphere method. And right now I'm making the thumb. You just want to angle the thumb down so it kind of keeps the realistic angle that you get. And keep in mind the relation of the size of the thumb to the other fingers. And this is how I'm making a hand now. I really have a lot to do to perfect this method, because I see the benefits of that, of having see you have this nice smooth topology all around, and it works. It can wreak some havoc with when you try to do auto rig with Auto Rig Pro, because sometimes it doesn't it's oddly more oddly shaped. So when it generates the armature, the finger bones don't always match up. So you have to manually correct that yourself and get them. So like, because sometimes you'll have the thumb and the index. You'll have both the index and the thumb bone in the section where it should only have the index. So you'd have to move the thumb bones into the thumb area, which you had to do if you want to, like with the AutoRig Pro, if you want to make something stylized, that's just something you deal with. So you can see I don't put too much effort into the fingers, partly because I'm not good at them, and second because I mean no one's paying a lot of attention to the fingers. I mean, as long as your hand does what you need it to do, then that's all you need to worry about. I just worry about for the fingers is just putting in enough edge loops so you can get the deformations that you need once you bind the the control rig to the your main mesh. So I just make sure to put in plenty of edge loops, because in the past I didn't, and that affects it because your hand doesn't have enough edge loops to deform properly. So just make sure, if you're not going to put a great deal of effort in hand, at least you have plenty of geometry for your hand and finger deformations. So you're just trying to get, right now I'm just trying to get that angle where, where it looks right with the angle of where the arms are at and doesn't look, off. Which over time is something you come to a sense of, like, of what makes it look, more, I guess, pleasing to the eye, and what looks cooler, basically. So I'm gonna connect the hands to the wrist area, and to do that, you gotta take into account how many edges are on the end of the wrist, and then you have to have those same amount of edges free in the hand area. So you have to count the amount and then make sure each one has the same. So like, you say you have 20 on the wrist, then you need to have 20 edges on the hand for them to be able to use the bridge edge loops command, which I use a lot. And if you don't have enough, then you can make more with the more edge loops where you need them to be. Like I had to do with the hand, I had to add another edge loop around the hand to be able to match the number of edges to attach it to the wrist. And then on top of that, it looks a little awkward because just because of how you're combining two pieces of mesh, separate pieces, and it doesn't always look the way it goes. So once again, I turned to the smoothing vertex smoothing algorithm and smooth the wrist up a bit so it looks more smooth. And right now, another thing I try to do, I try to, like, for major important parts of the body that I might need to select and resize later, like I'll make a vertex group for it, like make a vertex group for the hand and sometimes for each finger, just so, like, if you need to do weight painting at the fingers later on, then you could just select the thumb and then hide everything else and do weight painting on the thumb. And like I said, he wasn't Invincible's taller than this reference guy is, so I'm like I raised up the upper body a bit more to make him taller, but you also see the difficulty I'm dealing with trying to get the arms at the right angle and then also sized correctly, because I wanted him to be in a T pose, since that seems to be the easiest way to work with anything, is having him in a T pose. But it kind of squished the where the arm meets the arm socket. It squished that area, as you can see. So I'm having to use the smoothing in the sculpting smoothing as well as the vertex smoothing to smooth that area, so it looks a lot better. So because you don't want to have it looking that's pretty visible sign that it looks awkward, and you don't want to have that, and it's easy to fix. Like right now, also, you see I got, because the way I raised up the upper body, I got uneven quads, so I'm just selecting the edge loop and then scaling them scale Z 0, and they're all at the same height again, and then adding some more edge loops and then smoothing. I don't know if anyone uses smoothing as much as I do. I'm pretty sure people use it quite a bit, but I use it probably more than your average person modeling. So maybe that's not such a good thing, but it works for me. I know. So I'm going to use it until I learn a better methodology. And you can see the arm still kind of looks weird because just because of how it's interfacing with the arm socket. It just, you can see it looks off. So I'm just working on that smoothing and then using the grab brush to like pull it up so it looks correct. And then also noticing like the overall silhouette, which, I mean, he matches up closely, but if you do smooth, if you use the smooth as much as I do, you know that it kind of, it like makes it more uniform, but also you lose some of the silhouette of the overall shape. So you wind up having to pull, use the grab brush and the sculpting grab brush to grab out and like move things a little bit back into where they should be. But it's looking good with the upper body. I think this is a good point, good stopping point.